Everyone loves impact drivers and they have become very popular. But are they really the best tool for the job? I'll show you where drills shine, what impact drivers excel at, and one tool I think deserves way more attention. Most people think drill equals drilling and impact driver equals driving, but it's not that simple. Drill bits are now sold with quarter-inch hex ends, and you can always use adapters to get your drill to whatever bolt head you need to. While adapters and hex drill bits help make them both very versatile, they still function differently. Your average drill, technically a drill driver so it can do both, uses an electric motor, a gear set to control speed and torque, and a 3-jaw chuck that holds nearly any bit. It also has a clutch to control driving torque. The gear set also typically has 2 speeds, one around 5 to 1000 RPM and a second speed around 1500 to 2000 RPM. Impact drivers work differently. They still have a motor and a gear set, but they build up force and deliver torque using a spring-loaded hammering mechanism. Think of it like a spinning hammer. All that knocking you hear, that's concussive rotational force at work. They don't have a clutch, but offer driving modes or speed controls to help with precision. Their high speed is typically around 3000 RPM or more. Everyone talks about impact drivers having higher torque, but you may be surprised that in my prior test, a budget drill on speed 1 typically drives lag bolts slightly faster than an impact driver. If you use the higher speed with the drill and have a battery with enough amp hours, it blows the impact driver out of the water. Yes, impact drivers have more torque, but torque does not equal speed. Gear ratios matter. Impact drivers are made to get going when the drill taps out, which typically means it shuts off due to overload protection. When working with dimensional lumber or framing, an impact driver is great. It's lighter, shorter, and easier to use one-handed, especially when balancing material. The key downsides are noise and vibration. They are loud, and for me, the buzzing in your hands after using an impact driver for a while is very annoying. But they do require less force from your wrists and forearms, so for big jobs and general construction, that's the lesser of the evils. Impact drivers also have some automotive versatility. They are getting up there in torque so that with appropriate adapters you can remove lug nuts and do light automotive disassembly work as well. If you don't have a dedicated cordless impact wrench, using an impact driver can be pretty handy. Let's talk about drilling. With these hex drill bits, impact drivers can drill. The question here is how the hex collet compares to the drill chuck and drilling speed. The main issue with impact drivers is the movement in the drill bits from the hex collet. There's significantly more movement. Even as you apply pressure when you start drilling, the bit wants to walk significantly more and changes angles as it starts to drill. The first time using these bits with the impact driver, I was really surprised with how much more challenging it was. Now, if you have something like a pocket hole jig with drill guides, the impact driver is nice being lighter weight. I think for most soft woods it will work well. There might be some issues with harder woods with too high of an RPM of the impact driver. As you move to harder woods, the slower speeds of a drill are beneficial. For precision driving, this is where my opinion may differ from others. Most recent opinions suggest that the impact driver is better and you can utilize a lower speed to control it. The impact driving can prevent board cracking or screw blowout. Frankly, I like a drill clutch better. Slowing impact drivers down to make them controllable leaves them with just a slow tool. A properly set up clutch can work a treat. Clutches do work best when you have a proper pre-drill or countersink. If you're trying to use it on longer screws with no pre-drill, you will just be frustrated with the inconsistency. Another frustration of a clutch is that you need to be repeatable with how you drive the screw. Since the clutch is just based on spring pressure, higher RPM and momentum can drive the screw deeper. Driving a screw at full speed versus letting off the trigger and slowing the speed down and finishing the driving will require different clutch settings. So what are tool companies missing? Well, DeWalt, Milwaukee, and Bosch do have installation drivers or drill drivers with a quarter-inch hex. These seem initially like good tools to have in your arsenal. You get the best of the drill driver with a more compact and slightly lighter package. They would work great if you work with 2 tools, one drill pre-drilling or countersinking, and then the install drill driving. Unfortunately, only these pro brands have options for these tools. Harbor Freight has a Hercules, and I think Hyper-Tough have very cheap brushed models, but not exactly what I'm looking for long term. Modifying a drill chuck to 1/4 inch hex isn't an affordable option currently. I checked and it's around $100 for an adapter. I wish other brands would copy this tool. As a more out there idea, I can foresee a tool in the future with a more advanced speed or RPM control where the clutch can be an actual torque setting. There are some high cost impact wrenches coming out in this area. I won't hold my breath for that tech to be applied to drills anytime soon, but it's interesting to think about. So if you only have one, what are you taking? For me, the choice is obvious. I'm going with the drill. It can do everything I need it to do. And then for automotive stuff, I'm typically using hand wrenches anyway. I hope this information was helpful. Thanks for watching. Please check out my other tool test videos and comparisons. Good luck on those projects.